Hello and welcome back to the Dear Next Gen podcast. It has been a hot minute since we have recorded and uploaded in real time, but we are slowly batching and getting things up and running. I wanted to do a quick introduction because today's episode is a group from our team and they have some great advice, great wisdom, great conversations that they are sharing. So show them some love in the podcast comments. Apparently you can do that. On social media, we'll post about it, and stay tuned for a couple of other fun episodes with guests. And then while I'm on baby maternity leave mode, we will be having all different kinds of episodes come up, takeovers, panels, and very specific topic episodes too. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Hi, you guys. My name's Angela. I identify with generation Zillennial, I guess, which probably made me seem more millennial there. But I'm in between millennial and Gen Z. I identify with both of them. And today I'll be interviewing this panel for the Montage community. So let's start with introductions. I'm going to start with this lovely lady here because she's right next to me, but then we can do Gloria and then Vanessa and just say your name and what generation you identify with. And then we'll get into the questions.
Yeah, hey, I'm Trinity. I identify with Gen Z. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gloria, and I also identify with Gen Z.
Vanessa. I know.
Come back. We lost her.
Oh no.
Come back.
Maybe we'll wait for Vanessa and then I'll circle back to her answer. Okay, so the first question is, what advice would you give to your younger self? And we'll start with Gloria. Let's start with you, girl.
Advice I would give to my younger self. I was very reserved as a child. I kept my opinions to myself. I was very much girls are not heard and seen. And I feel like I'm a very bubbly person and outgoing, and I would personally advise my younger self to not listen to what people have to say, just be yourself. And honestly, at the end of the day, the people trying to diminish your shine are those who personally don't shine or feel like they don't shine. And letting myself be let down and my shine be diminished caused me to go down places I honestly feel like could have been prevented, and I would have been where I am now, much younger and much happier than if I had just let myself be myself and just glow and be happy and just be silly. I think that's a lot of one that a lot of younger people I'm meeting um are very stay by the rules, and I feel like just be silly, have fun outside. That's something I would tell myself. Don't let anyone dim your shine. Be silly, have fun, and don't forget who's watching, because people are going to watch either way.
Yeah, that's good. Just like own your silliness and your
Yeah.
childlikeness and just play. It's perfect. We love it. Trin, you go now, and then when Vanessa comes back, we'll be like, girl. Go for it, Trinity.
I think I would tell my younger self that I am very proud of them. And that, as our tote bags say, which I happen to have right here, your younger self would be proud of you. But I think I've always been very hard on myself, and like it's something that I'm working on. But I think just reminding myself that like I'm so proud of you and like you've achieved so much, and to like kind of what Vanessa was saying is like have grace and like patience with yourself, and like you're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay because that's how you learn. And I think also I'm gonna say two things: that like the right people will come. I've like always struggled with friends, but like you will know when like you found your people, and like they will make you feel so loved and like so cared for and valued and like heard. And that like if you aren't feeling that in a friendship or relationship, like that's not something for you. And that like eventually you are going to find people that make you feel like that, and that's ultimately the goal. So yeah.
And like how long do you let yourself remain in a place where you're uncomfortable too, right? Like that's interesting, because I find especially this could just be like the socialization of young girls and women as a whole, but that we are like almost taught to remain in places where we feel uncomfortable because it's just like normal.
Yeah.
And that's just like the female experience. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, actually, like I don't have to jeopardize my like mental well-being
Mental health. Yeah.
or mental health in order to make others feel comfortable. I can actually put my own needs first, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I should do. So it's
No.
just,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting.
I love
I think,
that.
yeah,
And
yeah, right?
Trinity, I'd be proud of you too.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
What
and me
advice
first.
would you give your younger self?
Oh, me. Yeah, thanks, Gloria.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a mix of what everyone was saying, really. Like, I identify with what you were saying, Gloria. I was like also a very shy kid. I kind of like kept to myself and like really dimmed myself for other people.
Yeah.
But then also kind of like what Trin was saying, where it's like it was hard to find friends. But the advice that I'd give to my younger self is like, just own who you are. Um, if they're not your people, they're not your people. So don't remain like you're not going to change them, and it's okay to leave and make new friends. And it's scary, but there's growth in the discomfort
Yeah.
ultimately. And it sucks. Like I'm still teaching myself this now as an adult.
No, me too.
There's growth in the discomfort.
100%.
And like it's okay, right? It's hard. It's so hard.
Yep.
It's
She's back.
good. What's up,
Hi.
Vanessa? You're back, girl.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Please
Awesome.
continue. Continue. What
Do you want
advice?
me to start from the beginning?
Sure. Do it. Start from the beginning.
Something I would tell my younger self would be to take your time, to not hurry what you're trying to do in life. Everything that you are, the person that you're becoming, the dreams that you're going to accomplish, the way they're going to come to fruition, your own little spin on everything. Like it's so unique to yourself that nobody else can do it the way you do it. And so trying to hurry up and to rush and to figure out what you need to do and who you need to be. I think that's the beauty of life is just on this continuous journey of who am I in this season and who am I in the next season. And so to give yourself that pace of grace that is right for you, going at the pace that is right for you, and then not worry too much about what other people are doing. But actually, if you're in your lane, you're doing your thing at your own pace, it actually inspires others who are watching to see, oh, she's doing it at this pace. Maybe I don't need to hurry up and figure everything out. Maybe I can take my time. So yeah, that's what I tell my younger self. Like, don't worry too much. Just take your time, one season at a time, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's so good because I think it's so easy for younger people as well as adults to compare ourselves, right? To look around and see
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this person's doing this and this person's doing this, and like I'm not there yet. Like, am I doing something wrong, or why am I not there yet? So that's really good. Just like
Yeah.
take it as you go. Like it's okay, and like you might be inspiring someone around you and not even know it. So that's really
Right.
good.
If I could add on to that,
Yeah, of course.
my younger self thought at 20 I was gonna meet a man, get married at 21, have kids at 22, and
Yeah.
here I am, 25, single and thriving in life and doing everything my younger self thought was impossible. So
Mhm.
at the pace that is for me and being living and enjoying life to the fullest where I am now is something my younger self didn't see coming. I 100% thought I'd be on child number 3 right now. And now I'm like, I cannot have 3 children. Absolutely not. I am living life. So, literally at your pace and living the life and enjoying at the time that is right for me. I resonate with that 100%.
Yeah. No, that's so good. I think we all like I'm 28 and I thought that I was going to be married by like 23 and have like 2 kids by the time I'm 25. And like when I was 25, I felt like such a child, and even at 28 now I'm
Yeah.
like I'm still figuring stuff out. Like that's okay. And it's like so easy to just like you haven't failed.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
good. Like you're learning as you
Yeah.
go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's the grace, right?
For sure.
Okay, second question, guys. Who is someone you look up to or who played a mentor role in your life? Um, Vanessa, do you want to start us off this time?
Sure, absolutely. Um,
I think for me, my mentors always ended up being my friends' moms because I was at their house. They would always give such good advice, and they're usually women who are very bold in who they were, almost sometimes to the point where people would have a hard time resonating with them because they were such bold, unique women, and very unashamed of who they were and very unashamed of their faith. And I think that's something that I really looked up to. And I was like, oh, I have something to learn from you because you're so bold and you're going to say things just as they are. I've never liked anything cookie cuttered. For me, I will try to figure out everything I can to the best of my ability. And once I come to you for advice, I need you to give it straight to me. For me, I'm not looking for a pity party. I'm looking for some good, wholesome wisdom that's going to set me back on track to where I need to get to. And so those women, yeah, I was just always at their house, but then with me having conversation with them because they were my friends' moms, I was like, no, 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 you need to be like my mentor, not just my friend's mom. You need to be my mentor because you have so much wisdom and I am ready to just like soak it all up. So that's how I picked most of my mentors throughout my life was just, they were just already in my life, already speaking life into me. But I then actively and intentionally chose to pull on their wisdom in a very intentional way where I was not just, hey, I'm at your house eating out of your fridge and I'm friends with your kids. It was like, let's sit down, let's have coffee, let's talk about life. I'm coming with questions. I'm coming with a notebook. I'm ready to learn. Let me pull on your wisdom. So that's how I think that's how most of my mentorship ended up happening in my life.
That's great. It's great that you even had the self-awareness to recognize
Yeah.
that like these women have something special about them and I'm going to lean into that. Like how old were you when when you first noticed those qualities?
I think I was like 17 because I actually never heard about the concept of mentorship until I was 17. That was the first time I was exposed to it. And I was like, yeah, I need a mentor. And I've just always been very eager to grow and learn. And so I just gravitated to, yeah, just to whoever I actually was looking at. And I'm like, I want to be like you. So
Yeah.
it was like the character qualities, the wisdom, just the things that they were doing in life. Not even so much of, oh, I want to be a mom one day. So you're a mom, let me pull wisdom.
Mhm.
It was a very unique, it was usually like they were very heavily involved in ministry, just very traveling, very bold. Yeah, very bold personalities. I'm like, I want to be like you. So let me study from you is
Yeah.
basically kind of how I just went about it. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Gloria, you go
Um,
next.
I I my mom has always been my number one mentor or the person I look up to the most. She's a single mom. I'm the oldest of four, and she, in my eyes, has always been superwoman. Don't know how she did it, and with such a strong faith, and she raised us in the faith, and it's not easy for children. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine one, and I'm 25. And I think the other day she was like, when I was her age, I had three kids, and I'm like, relax. Let's calm down about this one. And the stories that she used to tell us, of how, I'm first generation. Not even actually. I'm an immigrant. My siblings remind me that all the time. I moved here when I was two, so they're first generation, but they like the stories of how we got here and the refugee camp I was born in, and what she had to go through. And one of the things, like the stories growing up, seeing her like cry, was if my mom got to a point of crying, it was like something's happening. And to me that
Mhm.
was like, okay, to me it's okay, my mom is crying, something, the world is ending, I'm crying, like something is, like someone's dying, what's happening? And my mom was that mentor for me, and I still look up to her. There were qualities that I did see in my mom that, I don't want to say I didn't like, but where I'm like, I'm going to
Change that
not,
or
yeah, change that for myself.
Mhm.
Generationally, I want, because African parents are very different, and she did raise us Canadian, so there are a lot of qualities that we did not have in the African sense, but there are generational things that I definitely wanted to change. And um I was teaching. I used to be a teacher, and one of the children I taught, we were very close with the parent, and she, just like Vanessa was saying, was a strong woman who I just looked up and I'm like, you are bold in who you are, that you're unapologetically bold, where like it's almost people are a little bit like scared of that like power, and I'm like, I love that about you because you're unapologetically who you are and you say what has to be said and you live the way that you want to live. And she's someone that I still to this day talk to, and I sit down and I'm like, I need help, because she also went through the same struggles I went through and she overcame them and so much more. And so I take notes with her and I sit and I'm like, I just want to hear, like, I get discouraged sometimes. And so I just want to hear that you did it and that you overcame it. And both of them are, well, she's my mom's age. So both of them are like the two people I look up to the most, just because I find younger me got discouraged a lot. When situations come, we have faith in God. Things happen, and then it sort of takes you back to square one. And then you just listen and you're like, I find God speaking through them to me and just telling me that it's going to happen. And as I'm slowly seeing it happen, the same people are there, like, it's happening. You're going to be okay. You're strong. And they're the ones who are shaping me into the strong woman that I am today, because I want to believe that I'm unapologetically strong and will hold the same power that those women hold. And women hold a lot of power. And I want to definitely get there myself. And I will. I will get there. Those are just the two women that I mean, I look up to a lot of women, but those two shape who I am right now.
Yeah, that's good. And it's like they helped you pull that strength that was already in you
Yeah.
out, and they helped you like see it and
I
own it.
didn't see it in myself, and they just believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And it's a lot to say when you don't believe or you don't see that in yourself, and there's someone who is there who sees it. They're like, you're a younger me. And when someone's like in that power and you're like, I see myself in you, and I'm like, little old me. So it takes a lot, and they taught me it takes a village, and to trust the process as well, and just build on that power that I have.
I would say I didn't really have a mentor growing up because I didn't really realize that I needed one.
Mm.
And then it wasn't until I was like 18 and I had gone off to like school in England for like 6 months, and the pastoral care couple there really poured into me and like helped me see the worth and value in myself, and just like really saw me for me and the strength that I had and the resiliency. And I think they made me curious to like get to know myself more and just explore that. And that really impacted me in such a way that it made me become a social worker. Like it made me like go into the direction that I wanted to go into with my life. It's just having strong, independent, bold, unapologetically themselves. That's kind of the reoccurring theme that we're kind of all talking about.
Yeah.
And it's wild. It's wild because it's people are like not necessarily maybe afraid, yes, but they're uncomfortable with
Mm.
that kind of power. And I think it's just so interesting because rather than getting curious and leaning into that power and trying to be like, oh, how can I get like that or like own that in myself and just like fully love myself and just be myself and not be afraid of what others think or not be afraid of being judged. You almost need mentorship or a really strong sense of self to pull that out in yourself, really. Truly.
Definitely.
Your turn, girl.
Okay. I have been very blessed in that I've had many mentors and like people to look up to in my life, which is like been so great for me because I'm an only child, so I don't have any older siblings that I can like look up to in a sense. And like my parents, I love them so much, but like they've never, I don't know why, but for some reason they've just never been like kind of that mentor to me. I think it's because we're just like from two completely different generations that like it was kind of like hard to connect with them in that sense. So I think people that have been my mentors and I've looked up to is like my youth leaders and like my youth group and like my church community. And uh, I started going when I was in grade 6, so I was like 12. So ever since I was 12, I've had the idea of like what mentorship is. and like what it's like to have a mentor in my life, which I'm like so glad that I do. And I'm realizing is not like that common of a thing when like talking to my friends who like don't go to youth, or like people from school where they're like, oh, like why do you have so many like older friends? Like why do you have these like mentors and like people that so many people that you look up to in your life? And I'm like, I guess it kind of like hit me recently that that's not like really a normal thing for everyone. So like I am very blessed that I have those people in my life, and I'm also grateful that like I have like specific people that like I have, how do I explain this, have experiences in like certain topics and like areas of life that like are really able to help me specifically. Because like and for example is one of my mentors. So like if I'm struggling with something involving my mental health, like she's someone that I'll go to because like she has experiences dealing with mental health, and like she's someone that I've found has been able to really help me. Or like Cece, who down in Montage is like I'd consider one of my mentors. So like talking to her about like going into school and like the workplace and like the work field and like what that's like and stuff. She's been someone that I look up to a lot. My youth leaders are two people that like I go to for a lot of like my stuff spiritually. Like if I want to understand the Bible, or I'm like wanting to learn more about like leadership and stuff. And then I also have like people that I look up to in terms of, I do worship at my church. So I have people there that I look up to and ask for advice and like help involving worship. So like I'm just very grateful that I have different people that I can go to that have like specific experiences and are have stronger advice in like certain areas. So yeah.
And then it can be.
I love that you have like the diversity in so many
Yeah.
mentors, because I think sometimes we can put this false expectation that this one mentor is going to take care of my
Yeah.
entire life, and it's just that's unfair to them as well. And so that you've identified, oh, this person's strong in worship, and this person's strong in the faith, and this person's strong in mental health, that actually you can actually pull more from people because you're going to them for something specific that they actually
Yeah.
are really good at, which is like really cool, because that's and that gives you so much more resources to pull from as well, which is really neat.
Yeah, it's a really unique experience, which is great.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. This one says, this next question is, what is your day-to-day? So it could be work, school, or you could be in a transition season or transition period. And how do you think someone who is in a similar life stage as you can be a role model by facilitating community, inclusivity, and even bridging generational gaps?
That it was me trying to understand how to word the question. I think, I don't know. Can you come back to me? I need more time to like figure out my answer to that. Yeah.
Okay. Vanessa, you look like you have something you want to say. You go next. The ball's in your court.
You can read me so well already. This is awesome. Yeah, my day-to-day, I just started a new job, so I'm still trying to figure out what that all entails. But a lot of it is just, I'm a like community developer, so a lot of it is meeting up for coffee with random people and just being like, hey, like, what do you do and how can we help? And so we offer multiple services, and our heart's just to actually just be an answer to people, whether that's in the financial business, whether that's nonprofit, small business, all of that stuff. And so a lot of it is just coming up with creative ways to connect with people, creating events to fundraise for our nonprofit. So yeah, so today I was kind of just in my neighborhood. Next week I'm going to be hanging out in Vancouver, and then another part of next week I'll be like back in Abbotsford because that's where our office is. So every week looks different. I usually get the update either Friday the week before or the Monday the week of, okay, this is what we're doing this week. And because my role was created brand new, even so I'm co-laboring with the owners to be like, okay, how do we want to grow this role together? So it's like, it's super cool, but you have to be very flexible And that's something that I'm learning a lot, is learning to be flexible, being okay if I don't have a set routine within the scope of work. Because I love routine, and so I have to create a routine on the outside of work so that even if my working hours are super all over the place, like there's still structure in there. Um, so I don't know if that helps at all, but that's what my day-to-day looks like. I can be in any given neighborhood at any time. So that's what my day-to-day looks like. As for facilitating community, I love the ideas of at-home get-togethers, at-home parties. I used to host a lot of at-home parties when I had a bigger space. I would have everything from Christmas parties to bonfire nights to paint nights. Um, and I love also when other people host. Like I love house parties. And I think they're almost the easiest to be inclusive, especially if you want to invite moms, because a house is a very safe place for their kids to run around. And often when we think of generational gaps, we often forget about the fact that a lot of people have kids. And for a mom, whether she is going to go out or not will depend on if this activity can actually accommodate her young kids. And so, yeah, I think house parties are great in that way, where it's safe. It's not like out in the street where you have to run after your kid all the time. And our mom can actually relax as well. Because I have a lot of, just with the age that I am at, I have a lot of friends that are moms. And so that's always something that I keep in mind. Okay, like, are you going to be able to actually relax and have conversation? Or are we running after your kid the whole time, making sure that they don't injure themselves, right? And so, um, house parties are great. And then at the end of the day, I think um, it's just the person that you are. Whatever event you try to facilitate, if you are a safe person, so many people, and I've experienced it so many times, people will go out of their comfort zone, come to an event they would have never pictured themselves at, because you are there and because they trust you, because you're that trustworthy friend, because they feel safe around you. They're actually willing to go out of their comfort zone to attend whatever event you're inviting them to because they trust you. And so for me, it's always been super important to be a friend that's very trustworthy and feel safe around. I have a lot of friends who are international students and stuff. So to facilitate a space where even if they struggle with the English language, that I will go out of my way, because it's not my first language either, to go out of my way to make them feel comfortable and not awkward. So even if they stumble over their words, we're just going to play with it. And so I've had people, random friend groups, come together and actually really have a good time because both sides trusted me, because I facilitated a safe space. And so I think yeah, for me, safe spaces are really, really important. So if you're a safe person and you can create a safe environment for all the generations and create an event that everybody can get along with, I think that's brilliant. And it's very hard to find that, actually.
Yeah.
That's my very long answer. Sorry.
No, it's so good because it ties into, like, I'm gonna try not to rant here, but it ties in to what we were talking. It ties in, guys, to what we were talking about before, where it's like, how do you become a safe person? You know yourself. You're unapologetically yourself. Gio, you're okay. You're unapologetically yourself, right? You know who you are. You know what you want. You're like bold. It's like what those women were like earlier, that like we looked up to so much as children, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
they just knew themselves. And it took
Mhm.
time, it took learning, it was a process. But like they were safe people for you guys.
Yeah,
So it's just like,
absolutely.
right? Ties in. It's perfect. Gloria, would you like to go?
I'm still thinking on my question. You on my answer. You want to come back
Oh
to
yeah.
me?
Trinity?
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Have you thought about what you want to say?
I think so. So, do I have to? Okay, anyway.
You're in
Just
high
to
school.
reiterate again, I'm in high school. I'm a teenager in high school. And I think I completely agree with what Vanessa said. I think in terms of like creating a safe space and like community and inclusivity for people, I think one of the biggest things for me is at least holding the same like values and beliefs and like, I don't know how to explain this, like opinions in different settings. Cause like, I feel like with me, I have like different groups of people, and like, I've tried really hard to make it where I'm like a similar person in each group, because like, if you're, you know, this is not what I do. I'm just using this as an example. Say at school, you're like, swearing, and you like are disrespectful to your teachers, and you like whatever, you're just like not being a nice human being. And then in another circle, say with like sports or something, you're super kind and like loving to others, and you're like helping like coach some kids or something. Like, I think it's really important to like be the same person in different settings, and I think that creates a safe space for people, because people realize like, oh yeah, like this person's still the same, because like then they're not really going to trust you if you're constantly changing between different settings. So I think that's like I've like witnessed it in people that I know, and where they like change their personality in different settings, and it just like it kind of makes me, and I know like the other people in the group, like a little uncomfortable, because it's like, oh, I don't know what person to be expecting, like I don't know what this person is actually like. Right? So I think that's like one of the best ways that you can create community and like inclusivity. I don't really have much to add on the generational gap thing. I think Vanessa worded it really well.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's like, in order to be a safe space, you need to be a constant, reliable, stable, like you're just this stable person. And then people kind of are drawn to that because they're curious and they want to kind of be similar to that. So it just then helps you be more inclusive, because then you can just like invite people to things that you're throwing. If you're throwing like a house party, or like, hey guys, we're all going to go for dinner after this event, like come with us. You know what I mean? It's just about like throwing the invite out there, and then it's the person's choice whether or not they want to come or not, right? But that's good. You guys all said it great.
Oh, I have another thing to add. Sure. I think also in terms of creating community, I think it's super important to not necessarily focus on like creating like these big hangouts and like parties and like events that are happening, but just like reaching out to a friend and like getting coffee, or like, hey, let's go for like a walk or something. I know like for me, one of my top love languages is like quality time. So like, to be honest, I don't really care what I'm doing with someone, as long as like it's more the fact that I'm like with that person that I care about and that I love, and that, like, it's just that time that's spent with them. And I think that can mean so much to someone. It's just a simple like, hey, let's go for a walk. Like, we don't have to be doing some extravagant like, you know, event. We can just be in each other's presence. And I think that's one of the best ways to like foster community and like get to know someone. And I think if you get caught up and trying to make these like big things, you can kind of like lose that the intentionality behind it, and like getting to know the other people there. So,
yeah.
Gloria, do you have your answer, or would you like me to go?
I can give a part answer and then think later on. But for my day to day, I am currently in a transitional period in my life, which I have never been in before. I've been working since I was 15 years old, and it's very weird to be in a transitional period where I actually was working as a patient care coordinator in an orthopedic surgical clinic. And then I'm no longer working there as of next Wednesday. Um, I I made the choice to take care of my mental health. And I feel like it's something I didn't see much of or hear much of, where like I feel like work was, or I'm hearing more about it now, I don't know, on TikTok more than in my like personal friend group. I personally I'm an extroverted introvert, so I know many people, but I'm not friends with many people. Or many people could know of me, but I'm not friends with many people. I feel high school me was very big on the more friends you have, the more self-worth I think I felt. And now I'm in a quiet stage of my life where it was work home. And I sort of found a quiet in it and figuring myself out. And I found that it was very hectic. Even after work, I'm still working, or the work that I'm doing is more than I'm being paid for, or I was working for like the job of six people, whereas people who are beside me are only doing the one job. And I found it took a toll on me and my mental health, and I'm tired and all of that. And I made the choice, which I think I found was great, is to not stay in a place where I wasn't appreciated. And it's definitely something that I had to learn, and I'm hoping to teach my younger siblings as well. Even though I'm very type A and I'm go 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 and I work till the fullest, but if I'm not well enough to do the job, the job is gonna keep going anyways, whether or not I'm there. And so I taking care of myself needs to be number one priority. And we're not always gonna be appreciated, but we also shouldn't be degraded, and we shouldn't be put down, and we shouldn't sacrifice ourselves for not necessarily a job, but literally a job. We
Mhm.
shouldn't sacrifice ourselves for a job. And so I'm in this transitional state. I'm also an actress, so I'm doing that, but I'm an actress. So whenever I'm on set and we're filming and it's fantastic. When I'm not filming, then I'm working. So I'm in a state where I'm not necessarily not working. So if I film something, we're filming, it's fantastic. But I'm in a state of quiet and trying to know who I am to know who my friends are. I
Mhm.
think that's what I'm trying to learn, is to know who am I really, that resonated with me. Who you are with this group and who is that you are in that group, and who you are in this group is very different, because again, most of my friends are people I met when I was younger, and people pleasing and trying to just find worth in other people. And now I'm trying to learn that the people who I am talking with in this group could also be talking about me in that group, could also be talking about me in this group, will also be talking about me there. And are they really people that I know of personally? Do they bring something of value to my life, or are they draining and not adding to me and who my calling is? Not for like who my calling is because I'm meant for something much more, but are they keeping me from my destiny, or
Mhm.
am I just sort of floating because it's comfortable? And so I'm in a transitional period where I find it's something I definitely am trying to teach my sister, because she's 17 as well. And so I'm seeing little bits of myself in her, which is really, really heartbreaking because I want to prevent it. And I'm like, I know, but I know the more when I was 17, the more somebody told me to, hey, those are not your real friends. I'm like, you don't know them. You don't know them the way I know them. um, so it was like, she's going to have to learn for herself. And I'm just going to have to be there to sort of pick up the pieces and how show her self-worth in it. But I'm learning that my self-worth is not the number of friends I have, but the number of people who know me for who I really am, and the number of people I don't have to switch up for to be in front of, and who are I'm genuinely happy to be in the presence of. Because if I'm not happy to be in the presence of them, then why am I really here, and why it's not adding to my life. So with this in transitional period in my life, I am a very busy person. So I'm not working, but I am acting. I'm also a volleyball coach, and I am also a basketball coach, and I am also used to be a cheerleading coach. And I'm a gymnastics coach. So I like to keep busy, and used to be a teacher. So I think I'm going to spend the summer teaching as well in a Christian school, so I can build a little bit more of my faith again that I felt was slipping a little bit. And learn that I can. I love working with children because they have an innocence to them, and they also bring so much joy that everything going on is forgotten, like immediately forgotten in the moment, and it's shaping up the next generation. I taught for 6 years, and then I still see kids that I used to teach in the mall, and they're like, Miss Gloria, do you remember when you said this? You were so right. And I'm like, I know. And it's just seeing it's just seeing them grow, and that we're building future leaders. I'm a girl guides, and it's all a girl guide leader, and so it's all about building future leaders, building future strong women. And it's definitely something that I'm in this transitional period to pour into people, but also make sure that I'm also being poured into as well. And so if I was a mentor, as I'm mentoring my girl guides and my sister and her friends, it's definitely putting yourself first. Because I think I was taught being selfish is selfish. And now I'm trying to break that habit of being selfish is not selfish. Because if I don't have enough water in me to pour into you, then I'm just dry and you're overflowing, but I have nothing left in me, and I'm trying to learn that if I want to help, I need help, and I need to admit I need help because that's very hard sometimes. I need to admit that I need help, and I need to know that if I want to help somebody else, I need to get help, and if I want somebody else's light to shine, I can't shine their light with a dim candle, so I need to build it myself and take this time to just sit in quiet and silence and sort of wait in anticipation. It's so scary waiting in anticipation that what's going to happen, but I'm excited about it. And so if I was guiding someone, it would be to just sit in the quiet and embrace it because it's scary, but take care of yourself and um, don't dim your light. And also, what I was teaching, I always the children are like, but the kids are so annoying. The younger kids are so annoying. But there's a lot of stuff that kids can teach us, and I found that if when I was teaching, there's a lot of stuff that I'm learning that I forgot as we grow up. There's a lot of rules that we have to I say rules, but like societal rules that we have to keep up that kids don't really listen to. And so teaching, being with kids, it's something that I can't really say go out there and be a teacher, but spend time with the younger generation because they, as much as we're teaching them, they're also teaching us. And I find there's something to learn on both ends. The same way we sit with our grandmas and we listen to them, but we're also like, Grandma, you can't say that now. Not in today's day and age, you know? Like the same way we're teaching them, they're teaching us. So the same way the 2 year olds are teaching us because God said to be like children. So same way they're teaching us. Sorry, I talked a lot.
No, I love it. Everything you said was so good. I'm just processing it because you said a lot that's good that we need to unpack too. Like you talked about the importance of boundaries in the workplace, the importance of boundaries in your own life, the importance of self care, right? Caring for yourself. Your needs aren't selfish. That's so important. In order to help others, we have to help ourselves first, and we have to like take time to restore ourselves and rest. And like
Yeah.
that is such a hard thing to do in this day and age, especially when culture is like pushing us to always be go, 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 especially
Yeah.
as women to be go, 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 go. And it's like, no, like in order for us to help other people, to be our best selves, we need to prioritize ourselves. And that's not selfish. That's actually
Yeah.
quite important. Yeah. And then like the importance of, I think as adults, we lose so much of our like childness as we get older, which makes sense because we're getting older. But it's also like so important when you are around kids and they're just like innocent and
Carefree.
carefree and they're just like so unashamed to try things and fail and like, oh well, okay, I cried a little bit, but I'm gonna try again, right? Like they
Yeah.
are continually teaching us things. Like I work in elementary school, I'm a social worker,
Mm-hmm.
and it's honestly like day in, day out, it's helping kids regulate their emotions, helping kids work through their trauma, helping kids understand themselves better. And like no matter how much I'm thinking I'm teaching them things, they're teaching me things way more. Like it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But like we're constantly learning. We're never the expert in something, right? So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
we're learning from everybody that we interact with, whether they're old or young or our age, right? Like we're constantly learning from people. Yeah. So I think you guys have all said such beautiful and wise things. I don't really have anything to add. I think you've all put it so beautifully.
I like what you said about like that we're always learning from other people because a lot of us there's a temptation to hit this place of, oh, I think I have it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
But if we continuously stay students, there's like a humility that comes with us then because we're always ready to learn and we're always ready to listen, but it also makes you an approachable person. It makes you a person that other people want to hang out with
Mm-hmm.
because you're never like, you don't have this wall about you that's like, oh, I've got it all figured out and I don't need you to tell me how it is. But it's like, oh no, like, let me hear your perspective. Let me hear, your story, even though it's similar to mine, it might be completely different. And so to always have that mindset of like, I'm always ready to learn. You can never really go wrong with that kind of a mindset for when you approach any person, whether that's a younger kid, whether that's an older person, like, and it just makes you a very attractive, warm person that people actually want to be around, right? Because you're always ready to listen to what they have to say. So
Yeah.
Foster curiosity within yourself and within others, right? Like
yeah.
that's good. Do you have anything you want to add? No. Anybody else have anything they want to add? I'm like, watch for like later tonight, something come to my brain, and I'm like, oh,
No, because that's what's
Sure.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
I always watch these back, and I'm like, my answer could have been. I have a way better answer now, and it'll happen, and that's fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to not go on like a feminist rant right now, but I kind of want to, but I won't. But just in the sense of like, as women, we're so socialized to put others' needs ahead of our own.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like the norm. And then like, if
Yeah.
we don't do that, we're not good women. We're
Yeah.
selfish. We're too conceited. It's like, no. And yeah, in order to give for my cup, I need to fill my cup. We say
Yeah.
kids, right? Like, fill your own bucket before you fill someone else's bucket. And if you're not in education, you
Exactly.
have no idea what that means. But just like,
Put
it's like we teach little kids that. So when do we lose that? Why do we lose
on
that?
your own mask before you put on
Yeah,
someone
right?
else's airplane mask. Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's like they've been telling us that every time we travel. But it's hard to do. It's hard to do when you're not used to it. And then I think the guilt or like shame that some people could place on themselves
Yeah.
when
I
they
find growing up watching like even videos or like watching your own parents, like when my dad was sick,
mm,
he'd be in bed. Matter of fact, my brother. If my brother is sick, like he's in bed, I need soup, and my mom is sick and washing dishes and
mhm,
going to work or still cooking dinner and still doing this and that, and it's like, okay, if my mom can do that, I can do that. Where I'm like, no, go back to bed. We'll get you soup, and she's like, but. So it's like it's stuff that we see, but I feel like slowly people are starting to learn, but it's still like people have that guilt and that shame,
mhm,
and it's like, no, it's okay to take time for yourself, and it's okay to want to deserve a break. Everyone does. Like, you're sick, lie down. You know, you're not well. You literally can't give. You're not well. So it's okay to take the break. Even God rested.
mhm.
That's something I keep telling my mom, but I say it for everything. Why don't
Even
you get up
God.
and wash the dishes? Even God rested. Like, everything. Time to go to gym. God rested.
That's good. Yeah, it's true, right? Like, because then if you just keep going, you're just going to burn out. And then the recovery
Yeah.
period's going to be even longer. Or then you're going to have
Longer.
like a mental breakdown. Like, it's the repercussions of continuing to go just get worse and worse the further you push yourself. And
Yeah.
like, it's just such an interesting thing, really.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it also is our identity, and do we think that we are who we are because of what we do,
Mm,
or are we who we are because of who we are,
yeah.
right? And so there's this thing of like, we were never called human doings, we're called human beings. And so there's this learning of like, okay, like, my value as a person's not gonna change because I'm not doing anything today, right? And that's something that I'm
Mhm.
even learning, like, it's actually okay to, if it's my day off, it's actually okay to like sit on the couch all day and
Mhm.
not actually do anything. That's super tough for me. Like, I still have to be like, no, I have to go for a walk. I have to go grocery shopping. I have to do something so I can say that I have accomplished something today, right? And so there is this battle of like, no, like, doesn't actually change my value as a person. And when I can understand that I bring value because of who I am as a person, then even the way I approach the things that I have to do is different, right? Because it's out of out of a no, like I'm already valuable. And as a valued person, I'm now going to go do X, Y, and Z rather than, oh, I have to accomplish X, Y, and Z in order to add value to me as a person. Right. And so that's what the world says we need to do. But God says, like, I've created you and you are very well. Like, we were not very well when we started working the garden. It's after we were created that he said you are very good. And then he rested, right? And so it was like before Adam ever got the job to work the garden, he was already very good by God. And so for us to go and place all these crazy demands on ourselves, that's kind of, it's a little sad, right? Because God already said that we were really good, just as us being us, right? And so still learning that one.
I have never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I have never thought about it like that. I love that. You're already valuable the way you are.
Yeah.
But also, Adam, yeah, wow.
But then, like, think about if we take that mindset on for a minute. Like, you're not operating out of a place of lack. It's
Right.
like, wow, that actually just
Like-
shifted my entire perspective of like interacting with literally anyone.
Sorry, I think I got a phone call from my mom.
Sorry, Gloria. But that's so good. Like, yeah. Sorry, go on, Vanessa.
One of my favorite verses is actually in Jeremiah, and it actually starts off with God saying, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I have chosen you and ordained you and set you apart to be a prophet of the nation," which is crazy to think. So it's like even before we were conceived in our mother's wombs and we were being knit together with all of our personality and the way we were going to look and all of that, God's already said, I've already chosen you and I've already ordained you. And so, like, whatever we've put on ourselves, whatever society's put on ourselves, expectations from others, expectations of ourselves, none of that actually, that's all been like added onto. Like, none of that is who we are because he already said, before I formed you, you were already chosen and ordained for such a time as this. And so I think that's like super cool because that's like before I could even say that I'm unworthy, before I ever even felt insecurity, like before I ever even thought about comparing myself to somebody else, I had already been chosen by God, which is like crazy to think. And so, yeah, that's something I'm learning right now. So I'm unpacking as I speak right now, but that's like something I'm trying to learn. Okay, no, like before anybody placed any demand on me or I placed any demand on myself, I was already chosen. And so to operate out of being chosen already, then it's like I don't have to find value in other people or in other things because I've already been chosen by the one who created me.
Or like find value in like what I can give to others. Yeah. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you already have it. It's already there. Yeah. That's good. I'm like,
Beautiful.
oh, okay. Yeah.
I feel like this could be another whole episode.
I know. I'm like, gosh,
Part
there's
two.
so many things we could unpack. Well, like the whole war, internal war of like productivity.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like torn because part of me despises productivity to like my core. Like when people are like, "Oh, I always have to be productive," I'm like, "Yeah, go to therapy. Like work through that." You know what I mean? But then I'm also like, no, I understand where that's coming from, and I get why you're wired that way.
Yeah.
And it's this conflict of like, okay, I get it. Being productive is important, but it's also like so important to rest, and like your self-talk is so important. Like don't label yourself as being lazy because you've like worked all week and you're actually just taking the day to rest on the couch. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Or like having a slower day, going for a walk maybe, or like having some coffee. Like that's fine. You don't always have to be working, because that's actually so detrimental to your well-being in the long run. And then it was like when you guys were talking about oh no, it's gone. Okay, well, interacting with people and like how we're talking about how to be more like a safe person, right? It's like you own it and like you're just there's like a level of transparency too, right? Where you're like I was being vulnerable, right? That draws people to you. Like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Like people see that and then it gives them permission to be vulnerable and like with you as well. And then
Yeah.
it fosters this cycle of just like vulnerability and like stability and safety. And like that is how I think you can be a more inclusive person and how you can bridge more gaps, because people are then going to be drawn to you because you're bold, you're yourself, you're authentic. Like it's like a moth to a flame, you know? People just come for you. But yeah, now I'm rambling. But we all.
No, you connected it very well. It's a great
Yeah.
conclusion of the chapter.
I mean, like, to bring it back to like mentorship, I think like for me, an example of my life is like I'd always struggled to like open up to people and be honest, or not necessarily honest, but just like vulnerable and like what I was going through. And then I met this person I look up to who like really, maybe not even like intentionally, but just like made me feel so safe and vulnerable enough to like open up, and like I saw their vulnerability and I was like, oh, that allows me to be vulnerable, right? And I'm like, oh, like it's okay to like open up to others and people that you trust. And that was like maybe like a year ago. And then like the other week I had a friend and I was like talking to, and she was like, she told me, she was like, hey, like you are someone that I really look up to because you're so vulnerable and you're able to be open, and like your vulnerability has allowed me to be vulnerable. And so it's like witnessing that like circle, like kind of full circle moment where it's like this, someone else was that person for me and now I'm that person for someone else. Yeah. And I think that's like such an important part of like mentorship is like eventually you get to the point where like you can also mentor someone else and like take those experiences that you've gotten from other people and kind of like piece together this mentor that has these like unique experiences to like be able to share that with someone else.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I heard this saying once where multiplication is better than addition. And so when you have addition, you just have a bunch of people around you. Like, but if you're multiplying, that means that you are creating not another you, but you are imparting what you have to give to that person. So that person carries that value, gives that to somebody else. With like in the long run, the multiplication will actually add up so much more, and you'll have depth. Whereas addition is just like you just have a bunch of people in your life. You're not actually adding to their life in that way. Like you are by being in company, but there's this thing about multiplication is you're actually multiplying the same thing over and over and over again. And so that actually it's quantity over quality, right? Or quality over quantity, sorry. Not the other way. That just like came to mind when you were talking about that, how it's really cool. So it's actually a multiplication happening. Because you can have a bunch of people in your life around you just hanging out, but because you're able to now give to the next person what you've received, it's like this multiplication, and there's like value being passed on, which is actually super powerful.
Yeah. And then even that, it kind of ties into what Gloria was saying earlier, where she's like, the friends that she had when she was younger, she's had them for such a long time, but she's starting to realize like now she's in a period of like being kind of quiet and like really assessing which friends actually bring meaning and worth to her life and like fill her up rather than drain her. And that's, I think, something that you kind of learn as you get older, but if you can learn it at a younger age, that's so important. Like it's better to have a smaller group of friends that you really feel enriched from and that you really feel you can be your full authentic self with, and they're not going to judge you or they're not going to like make you feel dumb, right? Like I don't know, and it's such a hard thing to learn, but it's such an important thing to grasp, to have that quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
And I also find being vulnerable to build that connection, because I find a lot of people strength, or rather the definition of strength is or was warped into the mask that you wear, rather than the being able to be strong about what you're going through and speaking on it and overcoming it. So rather strength was, I don't know if it was just me, but strength was I'm able to hold it in and keep marching forward and keep myself together, rather than opening up to somebody. And I find even like I find it's not easy, but it's easier to be vulnerable to somebody who was vulnerable to you, and it's difficult to be vulnerable to somebody new. But being vulnerable to somebody new can again ignite a flame where that can help someone where you don't know was what they were going through, or rather it could be God working through you
Mhm.
to build meaning in another person's life. And it's definitely something I 100% am still learning, because I also don't like opening up to people. I know people for 13 years who probably don't even know who I really am on the inside, and or even like my personality, what I really am, because it's just so much easier to wear that mask for me rather than open up to situations that I've been through, or have gone through, or I'm going through. But looking at people who've mentored me, or people who I've looked up to, or people who I look up to because they were vulnerable what they went through, and they're still standing here, and they're still going strong, and they're still so empowered, but yet they so easily spoke to me about what they went through. And so it was so much easier to break through that mask if somebody spoke to me first. And I think that's one thing about mentorship is the readiness to be vulnerable yourself and not fear, not judgment, but also just, well, judgment actually, and just what they're gonna say or who's gonna say what, and rather being that strength and empowerment in yourself to be willingness to open up, and the possibility of touching someone's life, or even like people who they will listen, and you may think people are not listening, but 10 years from now we'll come back to that and be like, this person at this moment, a seed was sown, and a plant, a flower, a tree won't grow today, but 10, 15 years from now that seed could have been planted in you and in them from something you did 10, 15 years ago. And it's just that moment of vulnerability or willingness to be open in that moment to somebody new or somebody you know, just that willingness, because I find that willingness is, it takes another level of strength for me, and just that wanting to open up and being ready to open up is harder than just hiding behind a mask.
Yeah, that's so good. Gloria,
It's true.
so good.
Mm.
Fire. Sorry. Yeah. I know. I keep saying that. Yeah, and I think like mentorship. Okay. Yeah, I was sorry, I was just talking to someone about this last night. Honestly, about how like not even just mentorship, but just how important it is when someone is being vulnerable with you. It's so easy for us to want to jump to solutions. How can I fix this? How can I help you? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And it's like that's great. Sometimes that's exactly what we need, but a lot of the time what's needed first and foremost is just to like to sit with a minute. Like there's so much power
Yeah.
in just like holding space. Hey, I know
Mhm.
you're really struggling. I'm here with you. Like let's talk about this. Right? Like there's so much safety and just like security in meeting someone where they're at. And that's kind of like what mentorship is really. It's like it's coming alongside someone and being like, "Hey, I hear what you're going through. You know, like I'm here with you to help you through it and to help you navigate through this like difficult situation or to help you navigate through this. Or I've been in a similar situation and I've experienced similar feelings, but like I'm here to help you, you know? And I think it kind of just starts with like if someone's starting to open up about something, okay, wait, yeah, I'll finish this and I'll get my charger. If someone's starting to open up about something, it's like maybe like before you jump to that, how can I help you or how can I help you fix this? It's like, are you wanting me to just listen right now or are you wanting me to give advice? You know, like just blatantly say that. And that might be kind of like, wow,
You've literally said that to
I
me.
have said it to you. Yeah, that's like my go-to. And
A
it's
mentor told me that yesterday.
yeah, right.
She
Like
was
it's
like, do you want advice, or do you want to rant?
yeah, right. And it's just like you know what? I think I just need to rant right now. It's like okay, like have the floor, like go for it. Like I'm here, you know. And
Yeah.
then once they've ranted and they feel like it's all out, okay, now are you wanting us to try to come up with solutions for this? And it's also just like thank you so much for being open and vulnerable with me. And I feel like we can kind of feel lame for saying that. Or like, oh my gosh, that's so silly.
Thanks
I
for
should
sharing your emotions
like
with
thanks for
me.
sharing. But at the same time,
I used to say
think
that's so churchy.
yeah, but like think about I know this might just be like the inner counselor in me, but like think about how I mean maybe this is my own trauma, but like immediately after I'm super vulnerable with someone, the like, oh, I said too much. Or,
Yeah, same.
oh, like, oh no, they're going to think I'm X, Y, and Z. And it's like, no. Like, in that moment, you should take that opportunity to be like, that sounds like that's a lot that you're going through. But like, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I know it's like I've literally had friends like make fun of me for saying that. And I'm like, that's just because you're uncomfortable. So I get it. But also like, you're welcome. You know what I mean? So good. Does anybody have any like last things that they want to say or like bestow any wisdom to us?
I feel like we
Always have a
unpacked
mentor.
so much there.
There's so much there. Always have a mentor. That's good. Seek mentorship. Don't feel uncomfortable with asking for help. Don't feel uncomfortable with being like, hey, I actually think I need a mentor. Like, how can I get connected to one? Montage.
Business card.
Here's a sticker. Yeah, like, I think don't be afraid to just ask questions, ultimately. Like,
Be yourself.
yes.
Go out there and shine.
Yes. Don't let anybody dim your light. Literally, though. Like, honestly.
Look at my sweater, though. Created to shine.
Whoa!
There we
Literally what
go.
I'm wearing right now.
Happened.
With little
I wasn't
flames.
even in the call when that was said.
Yeah. Okay. Hey guys,
Yeah.
I see you. Like,
crazy.
what? The full.
Yeah, it's our new
full
merch,
moment.
you know. Do you guys want one? I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I would. That's
Oh my gosh.
actually
Full
like
circle moment.
Now it has to be one part so that you can see the whole like
Yeah.
that
Yes,
happened.
that was a
Everything
full
that we
circle
said this
moment
at the
right there.
end, they'll just listen to us and hate those girls. But this is so good. I love this. Guys, this was such a special time. Thank you. Don't laugh at me. I'm being genuine.
And
Wow.
don't
I just like that
be.
your counselor voice came out there.
Oh, it really did.
That's
Off
true.
this call, I was like, oh, she is. Jill. Yeah. Also,
And always like remember, like not in a creepy way, but people are always watching your journey. And so being vulnerable, and it doesn't mean you have to share like details with everybody, but letting people watch you wrestle through tough things in life. Whether they're big or small, but actually letting people into the things that you're wrestling through is actually some of the biggest testimonies for people and most greatest encouragements. Sometimes we want to share a story after we're through the struggle, once it's sunshine again and rainbows, and then be like, oh, I went through this. But to be vulnerable enough to let people in on your journey, they don't always have to be able to have room to speak into your life, but just be vulnerable enough that people can watch you wrestle through your seasons as well. Obviously, you have to have your mentors that can speak into you, but not everybody should have entry into your life to speak into the deep parts of your life, but to live a life where everybody can watch you go through it. Some of the greatest not compliments, but like the greatest things that people have told me is like, man, I watched you wrestle through that. And that really encouraged me because you like worked through that. And I was like, oh, I didn't know anybody was paying attention. I was just thinking I was all up in my, in my thing. And so, people are always watching. And so it's like, just be yourself, and let people actually see you wrestle through some stuff. Because you coming out the other side is like super encouraging for other people to see, in the midst of you working through it.
It reminds me, I one time had a youth student, like probably last year. I went through like really bad like mental health stuff where I wasn't really myself, just because I wasn't really well. But I was really broken, and it was so hard to show up and like lead these young girls, and I was continually doing it. But it was kind of like I was operating from a place of emptiness, and I was just kind of doing it out of the routine because it was comfortable and like what I felt like I had to do, which sounds horrible. But I was still trying to give as much as I could in the space and capacity that I could. And one of my youth students said to me, and she doesn't remember saying this because I told her like 2 weeks ago. She's like, I don't remember saying that at all. I was like, oh, okay. But she was like, thank you for being like, for showing us what brokenness is and for being broken, because it's allowed me to also know that it's okay to be broken.
That's so good.
At the time I was like, oh, okay, you're welcome, But like now that I'm in a better place And I like look back on that and I'm like, wow, like I was really struggling and like didn't even want to show up to this like retreat thing that we were on, and yet I still did. And like, yeah, I was like crying in the back.
Oh yeah.
But like it actually, like my presence, even though I didn't feel like I should be there, like still had impact, and I wasn't even aware of it at the time. You know, it's pretty wild, honestly. Like
I remember that. You're a lot different now.
Thank you.
In a good way.
I'm mentally well now. So. But yeah, like it's just letting people see you in the struggle is more meaningful and powerful, I think, than we are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Super good.
Thank you for showing up and sharing, and you know.
And that's a wrap.
Bestowing your wisdom. That's a wrap, I guess.
Cut.
Did I end this? Like,
Cut.